Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anselmo Fonseca. I'm a person living with HIV for over 30 years. And I welcome you today to this webinar where we will learn about Conexiones Positivas, positive connections, MIPA, and how to apply for this grant. Today, we will also be covering other aspects of HIV mobilization. This session is being recorded and will be online available for individuals to also review in their process to apply for this fund. AIDS Watch. AIDS Watch is AIDS United's largest national contingency-based HIV advocacy event. It is where annually we gather between 300 to 500 individuals to visit Congress and sit with our congressional leaders to assure appropriate funding is allocated for our right and right services, as well as other provisions of services that impact our lives. This event normally takes place during springtime, and this year will be between March 27th to the 29th, 2022. These are just our basic practices for Zoom. This agenda, as we explained, the service is also provided in Spanish, so it will be online, also in Spanish, available to those that are monolingual. We will learn today a brief background on the funder, history on the HIV advocacy and involvement in the movement, and funding application instructions on how to apply. Today, we will also be learning, as I said, who is the sponsor. We will learn a little history on AIDS United and the grant making within the Latinx communities and how we work within the community, the type of fund that this is and how it can be used. A history that we will be honoring of the contributions of people living with HIV, both organizationally and throughout the movement. I will also be covering some basic parameters of eligibility to this fund, how to also fill out the application through our AIDS United portal. This fund is from ViiV Healthcare in 2022, excuse me, in 2020, ViiV Healthcare approved a $100,000 implementation fund for us to implement positive actions for Latinx men, also known as Positive Connections or Conexiones Positivas. We expect to be able to grant out between 6 to 8 awards to small organizations during 2022. This fund looks to improve the investment and strengthen networks, leadership, and support efforts in HIV, in the Hispanic Latino community of gay, bisexual, and trans men to educate and decrease stigma regarding HIV and AIDS using an easily accessible grant-making approach. We also look to improve the capacity of funded organizations through the culturally humble, competent, and linguistically accessible technical assistance, also provide support in the creation and improvement of local networks, as well as national partnerships to be able to leverage connections and decrease isolation. And also, we will be looking to support innovative advocacy and education efforts, specifically stigma reduction based on your local, state, or federal interests through our community identified approaches. AIDS United is a nonprofit organization, the national nonprofit organization with a unique mission and focus on ending the HIV epidemic in the United States and its territories. Brief history now on AIDS United's work within the Latinx community. In 2018, our senior program manager, Julio Fonseca, in representation of AIDS United, participated in the Latinx Gay and Bisexual Men's HIV Prevention and Treatment Action Coalition to also secure a call to action nationally to secure preparation within our national organizations of a pipeline for professionals to also enter into the workforce, people living with HIV. In 2019, we were granted $100,000 by Gilead Sciences to also implement a project called Hispanic Latinx People Organizing Positively. This is a pilot known as HLPOP. And this is a fund that was geared toward gay men and bisexual men and trans women to also do low barrier and grant making process, in which we were able to also grant out 5 organizations in 2021, ending in February 2022. And then in 2020, as you learned already, this now the fund is, the purpose of this webinar is that we will be also rolling out $100,000 for 6 to 8 organizations for gay, bisexual, and trans men or men of trans experiences. This is a part of our model of work that we do within the community, is to also have a community gatherings where we gather their needs and assessments, and as well as their recommendations on how to move forward with implementing the grant. We will now be appreciating and valuing the lived experiences. Denver principles. 12 people living with AIDS who met for the first time in the 5th annual Gay, Lesbian, and Health Bisexual, the 5th annual Gay, Lesbian Health Conference held in Denver, Colorado, June 1983. The manifesto outlines basically what are the rights and responsibilities of people living with HIV, back then AIDS, as well as healthcare providers and care providers in general. What is MIPA? MIPA is all about leadership. The leaders are individuals who are called to use their skills, knowledge, and experience to uplift communities and carry their voices. Here we'll see an approach of what the model is and what it can do for your organization. The model will enable organizations to recognize the importance of contributions of people living with HIV and AIDS and or affected, to be able to make their recommendations in response to this epidemic. Also creates a space within organizations for the participation of people living with HIV to become active participants in all aspects of the HIV response. Lived experiences can be motivating. Committed individuals were more active because there is desire to change and a better life. Also to develop connections with other people who are in similar situations to gain a greater understanding of the situation, i.e. the formation of coalitions, associations, and networks of people living with HIV. So what is MIPA? MIPA is meaningful participation of people living with HIV AIDS. JIPA is increased participation of people living with HIV and AIDS. MIPA is also known as JIPA. MIPA, also known as JIPA, means meaningful involvement of people living with HIV in the programmatic policy making and funding decisions and actions that impact our lives by ensuring we participate in important decisions. MIPA is not being present but not having a voice or vote. It is not obtaining information that we do not have the time to process. You are asked to participate in the meetings, but not to set the agenda. There are expectations that we will always volunteer our time instead of being compensated. We are asked to be the face or the voice of a project or a campaign, but not to define the goals, audience, or message. And also there is a generalized expectation that people living with HIV represent the community. We do not, we are only one. And we will also leave you with other thoughts of how this may not be seen. MIPA now on the organizations, excuse me. MIPA is anchored in advocacy, policies, planning, implementation, and monitoring. How is it seen in advocacy? In the footprints left behind by the Denver principles in its mobilization of JIPA and MIPA. In policies, we were always been an integral part of the blueprints of the national HIV plans in the ending the epidemic, as well as the national strategic HIV/AIDS plan. In planning, because we are part of the implementation process as well. And in planning, we are also involved in jurisdictional planning bodies of HIV prevention and treatment as well. Implementation as part of, we are also involved within the organizations, many organizations within their governance We're also in their programmatic areas, as well as we also donate time as staff members, consultants, or about simply volunteers, as well as, and then finally, we're also very involved in what is monitoring of the quality improvement aspects of HIV care within the Ryan White settings in the organizations, as well as the state and local and state health departments. Here we see a MIPA model where this is nothing new, I'm sure, for many of you. We understand that this is the grassroots movement pyramid where we start from the bottom and work our way to the top to ensure our desired outcomes and impact for positive impact for our organizations and our communities at large. MIPA preparation. What does MIPA, or shared decision making with people living with HIV, look like in your organization? What personnel or professional opportunities are offered specifically to people living with HIV in decision-making roles? What tools or support are your organizations using to support people living with HIV in the decision-making roles? Here, we will also be furnishing, as you can see on our website, there is a section on MIPA. You can do a search in the search bar, and you will be brought up to this page where you will also be given information both in Spanish and in English. Now, for your basic financing parameters for this project. My partner, and colleague, Sharon Weiss, will also be instructing you further on how to populate your online portal, but these are the basic parameters. You will need to go into the portal and sign up for your grant application. You will also be submitting a project narrative along with the project budget, which is, there is a spreadsheet link on the website that will take you to these templates where you will have three tabs, three tabs all together. There will be one for the budget, one for the narrative, which is that narrative is the principal, then you will have the budget, and then you will also have the table of representation. These are to be populated within the portal, and that will be part of the process for your application, along with which you will also submit, receive from you a submission of your current operating budget for your organization, as well as your most recent 990, and a list of your board of directors with their community affiliations, an organizational flowchart of hierarchy. And if you're not a 501c3 nonprofit exempt organization, we will also need to have a memorandum of understanding or a letter of support from your fiscal agent. We remind you that this is an 8-month project. It is based on work of the organization, other work of the organization, meaning this is seed money. It is not intended for you to start a new program or a new project, but rather to simply supplement, right, to continue to empower and fortify those individuals that are living with HIV already within the organization, and at the same time to also fortify the organization itself. And finally, the deadline, reminding you the deadline for the online submission will be February 4, 2022 at 3 p.m. And I will now pass you over with our Senior Grants Manager, Shannon Weiss, who will provide you with instructions in English and Spanish on how to fill out this grant. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Shannon. Lo siento, no hablo español, pero estoy muy feliz de estar aquí. So my name's Shannon. I'm the Senior Grants Manager at AIDS United. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. And I'm going to be talking briefly about the application logistical process, assuming I can figure out how to share my screen again. Hold on one second. All right. So there are 2 guidance documents available to help you through the online application process, one of which is in English and one of which is in Spanish. So if you speak mostly or only Spanish, You do not need to frantically take notes while I'm talking because you'll be able to refer to a document after the fact. So you're going to go to aidsunited.force.com to log in, and you're going to see this screen when you do so. You'll want to click the login button. And when you get to this screen, you're going to enter your email address and your password if you already have an account. If you have an account and forget your password, you'll use this handy forgot your password link. If you don't have an account yet, you're going to click not a member, sign up here, which will take you to this screen. When you get here, you're going to enter your first and last name, your email address, your title, for your organization, what your title is in your organization's EIN, and it's important, that's the employer identification number that you get from the IRS. It's important that you enter that in correctly, so it will link your record up with your organization's record in our system. Then you'll create a password and confirm it. The next screen will ask you for some organizational contact information, and then you'll go ahead and create an account. I'm not going to go to this next screen because I have to fill out these fields to do that. Now I'm going to go to another screen. So once you're logged in, this is what you're going to see. You'll see across the top your home tab, which is where we are right now. You'll see my applications, my grants, and funding opportunities. I have a more drop down here with some other options that you will likely not see unless you've worked with AIDS United as a grant reviewer or a consultant. So when you log in, you're going to go to funding opportunities to start your application. And you'll see, you will probably not see this, but you don't need to worry about that anyway, because that's in the past. You'll want to go to Conexiones, Positivas, Piloto, and click on this link right here. This is going to take you to the funding opportunities screen. If you scroll down, you'll see information that has been pulled directly from the RFP. So nothing here will be new, but there is information here on summarizing the initiative, deadline and submission information, and application assistance details. To apply for the grant, you're going to go up here and click Apply Now. And this screen is asking you to confirm that you would like to apply. And of course, you want to click yes, because you've already said up here that you wanted to apply. But this is how our system generates the application for you. So you're going to click yes, and then hit the next button. This screen tells you that the system has started an application for you. To go to the My Applications page, and you're going to look for this application number. You want to make a mental note of this number 6362, because that's what you're going to look for. So I'm going to click Finish, and then we are going to, on some of Julio's saying it doesn't look like the slides are advancing. Folks, can you see the different screens as I'm clicking through things?
No, you're still stuck on the same one.
Am I still stuck on the login screen?
Yep.
Oh, this is my screen sharing pause. Shoot, hold on a second. Let's try again. All right, where did I lose you all? Did I lose you all right at the login screen? Okay, we're gonna go briefly back here. So when you log in, as I said, you're going to go to funding opportunities. And you're going to click on the initiative name right here. And then this is the part that I was saying has information you've already seen in the request for proposals. You're going to go up here and click the Apply Now button. And then here you're going to confirm that you'd like to apply and hit Next. And this confirmation page says that it started an application for you. It's telling you to go to the My Applications tab and select this application number, which is the application you've started. You'll want to make a note of this number because it's what you're going to be looking for in a second. and then you'll click finish. And then you're going to go up here to the My Applications tab. Now, when you get here, you will likely see the application you just started here in My Active Applications. But I have a whole bunch of test applications. And if you were in a situation where you submitted enough proposals to AIDS United, you may need to go to View All. Also, you'll note that down here, anything you've already submitted is in this completed application section. You will not see this many applications, nor will you see multiple applications for any one initiative. So you're going to go to View All if you need to, and your application you just started will be at the bottom. And here you'll see application 6363, which is the one we just started. So we're going to click here, and it's going to bring up the application form. So these are the basic tabs you're going to use with your application. So this basic information and organization profile section is where you're going to verify that your contact information for your organization is correct. If you want to change anything, all you have to do is hit the pencil icon and it will open the entire form for editing. So you can change any information you might want to change here, make sure it's updated, and then click save. And that will update our database with your current contact information, which is very important for us. We are done with that. You're going to skip tabs 2 and 3, and you're going to go directly to tab 4. And this is where you're going to begin entering your answers for this proposal. You'll see it took a couple seconds for this screen to load. This is the first screen. You will likely see your email address here in an email address field. It doesn't always show up. I'm not sure why. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. If you see an email address field, you'll need to make sure your email address is there. If you don't see a field, that's fine. Just go ahead and click next. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see the questions of the application. These are the exact same questions you saw in the RFP. I do want to make a note that for most of the questions on the proposal form, the Spanish is first and the English is second. For things like radio buttons or checkboxes, we had to do English first and Spanish second because these same questions are used by other initiatives at AIDS United. We actually have 2 RFPs out right now, one in English and one in Spanish, and I can't make 2 completely separate fields for them. So for things like these checkboxes and radio buttons, you'll be seeing the English first, which is probably a little jarring when you're used to seeing Spanish first in these forms. But I wanted to give you a heads up that that's what's going on here. I just can't fix the order of the questions. So you're going to be answering all of your questions as you go through, and you're going to be clicking your boxes and filling in your information. And at the bottom of each page, you can either save my progress or click next to go to the next screen. If you save your progress, so you'll see I got an error there. You need to fill in every required field on a page before you can save. So anything with a red asterisk is a required question. And if you don't, and you click save my progress, you'll get an error message like I just did telling me which questions I still need to complete. Now, I am not going to go through and have you all watch me fill out an application form because that is just not interesting and we are all too busy for that. So I'm going to go over here where I have an application that I filled out partially this morning so I can show you the submission and attachments process. So when you're finished filling out your application in tab 4, your narrative, you're going to get to this final screen, which is going to ask you, are you sure you want to submit your proposal? Please go ahead and read the instructions here in Spanish or the instructions in English. And if you say, no, you're not ready to submit, you can click no, take me back to the first page. But if you want to, or you can just save your progress, if you want to submit, you need to confirm that you want to submit your proposal. And then this review my narrative button becomes active. So we're going to click this button and it's going to take us back through your proposal so you can make sure that all of your answers are correct and that you filled everything in. If, for instance, as I've done on the next page, you just wanted to save and you put in, say, a 1 or the word test or something like that, just so you could save your proposal, you need to make sure before you submit that you've put in actual answers here. I'm not going to do that because I'm not actually applying, but that is something to make a note of as you're filling out your proposal. We had an applicant recently who went ahead and submitted. They had not actually filled out real responses, and then we followed up with them and got their real answers. But you don't want to make that happen to you, and you don't need that kind of stress. So then you're going to hit next. You're going to double check your responses through the application, and then you're going to go back to this page, which is going to ask you again, are you sure you want to submit? And you'll notice that this submit button is now here and active. So you have to go back through your proposal to review everything before you can submit. Now the submit process is multi-step. So the next page is going to ask you again, are you sure that you want to submit your proposal? So you're going to say yes, you want to submit, unless you want to go back to the first page. You're going to confirm again, and you're going to say submit my narrative. Now there is another step that you have to do. What the application is doing right now is it is creating a PDF that your reviewers will see. So this is a document that you can skim through and double check your answers if you'd like to, but if we don't go through this step, the reviewers won't have access to your narrative. So that's why there's this third step in the submission process. You're going to click close if you're not ready to submit, and then you can come back and submit later, or you're going to click continue, and that will submit your form. And if you scroll up, you're going to see a confirmation that your narrative was submitted in Spanish and then below in English. So this is the narrative part of your proposal has now been submitted. So you have one other thing you need to do before the final submit. You're going to go to this more button, and you're going to select application attachments. Give it a second to load, and you'll see some attachments here. You want to go and click view all, so you're just make sure you don't miss anything. On the view all screen, you're going to find all of the attachments that are listed in the RFP, as well as a submitted narrative. If you click on that, which I just did somewhat accidentally, if you open this document here, it's going to show you that PDF form that we created for your reviewers. We don't actually want to go there because we didn't spend time on that. So you'll notice all of the application attachments here. They are only in English on this screen. You'll see whether they're required or optional. And you'll see that these all say pending application submission, and they will say that until you're ready to submit. So we're going to go to representation table. I'm only going to show you one of these so you don't have to sit through me uploading all of them. So what you're going to see here is, again, that this is a representation table. It's required, and this will indicate to you there's a template that AIDS United's provided that you must use. All of these I buttons give you more information, so you can click on these if you want to see them. And there is a specific link here for the template in English, and there's a link here for the template in Spanish, as well as the Spanish name of the attachment here. There are fields I was not able to change to make this all completely bilingual. Now, these template attachments are on our website. They're also available via email if you need them. So if you already have them filled out, you do not need to download either of these attachments and fill them out again if you've already done that. You can upload files either by uploading via a browser window like this, which is what I'm going to do now. I have a representation in sample that I'm going to upload, or you can drag and drop files from your desktop onto here. In either case, you're going to go ahead, and once it's done uploading, you click done, and then you're going to go back to your attachments list in this way. And what you're going to see is that there is now one attachment in my representation table attachment type. You can submit multiple attachments in each one of these attachments, so you don't have to attach just one thing. That generally will only be related to the memoranda of agreement or letters of support field, where you might have more than one that you need to submit. These others you will, barring something extremely unusual, only need to submit one. So when you're finished uploading all of your attachments, you're going to do your last step, which is to go back to your application and to do your final submit, which is here in step 6. And step 6 is going to ask you to make sure you're ready to submit. This says, are you sure you wish to submit? You're going to say yes. And then you're going to click next. And if I do it, it's going to give me an error message, which is going to say, oh, there we go. It says, hey, you haven't done everything you need to submit this application because I didn't put all of the attachments in. So I would then go back and select 5 and go back and do my attachments. But if you have uploaded everything and filled out everything and in tab forward and submitted, you'll get a confirmation here that your application has been submitted. You'll also get an email confirmation that your application has been submitted. So that is what I have for you for right now, until we maybe have questions and answers that I might be able to help you with. And I am going to hopefully successfully go back to our PowerPoint and get that displaying again. So give me 1 second to get back there. Here's my PowerPoint. Here we go. Almost there. My screen sharing I see is paused while I am changing screens. I'm going to start that again. All right, let's get slideshow going and switch here. There we go. I'm going to turn it back over to Anselmo or Julio, whoever is next.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much for that very important information on how to apply on the portal. Yes. So now if we're opening the floor for any other questions, if folks are itching to ask anything that needs to be answered in this process or in regards to MIPA, this would be a good opportunity right now. Please post in the chat or raise your hands if you would like to have the microphone opened for your comments or questions. All righty, no questions. All right, next slide, please. I think this is the Julio. Would you like to have our any final words before we close for the afternoon?
Just really quickly to clarify, we have extended the deadline for the application. You may have seen it at a different date in this month, but it is now due 3 p.m. on Friday, February the 4th, 2022.
Thank you for clarification. And I would like to clarify that in the audit as a requirement, it is the 990 form that we would be looking for the eligibility requirement. And
Samuel, there's a hand up.
anything else? Yeah.
There's a hand up.
Okay, can you unmute the person? I don't have hosting privilege.
Saludos. Saludos, Anselmo. No, yo levanté la mano, no sé si soy el único. Es Peter Shepard Rivas.
Hola.
De Coay.
Bienvenido.
¿Me oyes?
Sí, pregunta. Dime. Te oigo bien. ¿Tú me oyes?
Ok, sí, te oigo.
Ok. Ajá,
Mira,
dime.
quería aclarar en términos de en términos de elegibilidad, hablamos de hombres gays y bisexuales. Y también hablamos de hombres con experiencia trans. Quería verificar si esos hombres de experiencia trans se tienen que identificar como gays, homosexuales o bisexuales.
No, como
O si también podemos incluir a los hombres de experiencia trans que se identifiquen como heterosexuales.
ok, sí, no. No. Ok, entiendo por dónde va. Hay una cierta incertidumbre en cuanto a personas que se identifican como hombres trans a hombres que se considerarían como no binarios y si ellos podrían incluirse dentro del grupo. Eso es la pregunta.
Sí, sí,
O aunque los
es un poco aclarando, ¿verdad? Una cuestión de, como sabemos, una cuestión de lo que puede ser su identidad de género, como lo que puede ser su orientación sexual. Entonces, pues, estamos claros cuando hablamos de hombres gays y bisexuales, estamos hablando de su orientación sexual.
Sí.
En el caso de los hombres de experiencia trans, lo que quería era aclarar si se iba a hacer una distinción de acuerdo a lo que estamos proponiendo hacer.
No, es todo hombre latino con experiencia trans.
Ok,
Aclarado.
sí, gracias.
¿Cómo no? ¿Alguien más? Anybody else? Any other questions? No more hands. Okay, well, it sounds like we've come to the end of our presentation. Again, we are glad that you're able to accompany us today and learn about MIPA and how we are doing work within the Latinx community, and look forward to seeing your applications and hopefully partnering up with us in the future. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Gracias.
Gracias.